recording that, Moze?
Yeah, I'm recording it to the cloud.
Oh, great. Thank you. Okay. So apologies for that. So will I just finish off?
Sorry, Maria. By the time I had ran and got my phone, you'd rung off.
Okay. Well, we're just about to start with the open mic in your absence, but maybe you just want to finish the song, and that would be a proper way. Do you mind, Padraig, if she finishes?
Not at all, not at all.
Since we
I'm thinking maybe, you know, kind of we got the bit of the song, and what I was going to ask people was, did it speak to them? Did that song speak to them? You know?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, and I suppose that was going to be the end of the recording then. So I suppose just because we started the story medicine part with on Bosca Dríochta, I thought that we might end again with on Bosca Dríochta, but this time I can't see anybody's messages. So I'm just going to end with 3 things, if that's okay with everybody, due to technical difficulties. So the first thing that I'm going to put into the box was the disconnection going down. So it was like, so if you can all do that as well, and put it into the box, you know. And I suppose the second thing then was, you know, trying to reconnect, you know. So there was loads of, I'm ringing Ray, I'm ringing Moze, and they're trying to ring me. So it felt like,
Lisa, close in the door because I'm going to speak.
Let me put that in the box. You know, and I suppose then just to note how useful it is to be able to do that, because when you put it into the box, it leaves your body. So I feel kind of present now again that that's done. And then it's the Bosca Dríochta, so it's going to change all of that into lovely things. So I'm going to take 2 lovely memories out with me, and I suppose they would be the contributions from our audiences, the beautiful wisdoms, you know. So and that was a way of being connected even though we're far apart. So I'm going to take the wisdoms out, and for me it's like a big halo out of the box. Thank you. Oh, that's lovely. And then the second thing that I want to take out of the box was the beautiful goodbye that we had from one of our audience members. So it felt like a real family thing. It felt like we were in a story circle. Yeah. And there was a little bit of a conversation and everything. And, you know, it just, even though, you know, I'm in my room, you're all in your different rooms, for that moment, it felt like we were all sitting in someone's kitchen, didn't it? So I want to take that out. So I suppose I just want to reach out to you, and I want to take that out of the box. And then close the box, Bosca Dríochta, and let it go. And that is the end of our session for Wellness Week this year. And I hope to come back next year because it's becoming a tradition, and that we'll all be in the one room, and that we'll make up for this and we'll have a great time. Moze, thank you for asking me. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. I love you all.
Well done, Maria.
And now I hand over to Moze. So Moze, we'll hand over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Maria, for being here. Thank you very much. Also, Teresa, who is here, Teresa Tobin, she is, maybe you should unmute people if they want to respond. She is part of the Wellness Week committee, and obviously they don't have Wellness Week this year. Do you want to say something, Teresa, also?
Yeah, yes, I would. I'd just like to say thanks to everybody for coming along today, but a big thank you to Maria. Really enjoyed it, got a great deal out of it, and it's just lovely seeing you all and getting to know you. Thank you very much on behalf of Clonakilty Wellness Month. Thank you, Marie, thank you, Moze, and thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teresa. I'm trying to unmute you as well. And what we were doing before Maria came back from the cold was starting up with the open mic with Padraig, who is now in Vienna. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that, and then do your open mic thing. And then I'll, you know, if people feel that they want to share something as well, I'll ask again afterwards. This is not the last chance saloon. Okay, Padraig from Vienna. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Okay, I'm not going to talk about Vienna. I think that's not that interesting. I didn't know that it was about, am I all right? Is it okay? Or what's happening?
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, I can
Okay.
hear you fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so 2 months ago, after skirting around it for 2 years, I started my second novel, which is based on the Irish famine and then the Great Migration to the United States. I'm getting feedback. I don't know if the microphones are muted. I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll continue anyway. Yeah, I started this novel. So basically, what I'm trying to do today, I'm basically trying to.
This is frozen for me. For other people as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened?
Okay, you were frozen, but we'll continue.
All right. Okay. So I was frozen. Okay. So I don't know what you heard. You give me a thumbs up if it's all right and a thumbs down if it's not okay. Okay. So I'm trying to engage with the period emotionally, which I think is very difficult for Irish people to do. I think we put a great deal of this different distance between ourselves and the period because it was so traumatic. And so in my story, which is fiction, I'm trying to embrace that. And since I started to write it, of course, we ended up in this global pandemic. And it's extraordinary to me, the number of resonances that exist between the period and this period that we're in right now. Okay, so I'm just going to read a small section. It's a section where there's a character called Padraig, and he's a widower with an older daughter, and they are just being evicted from their tenancy. They live in Grag in just about 10-15 miles north of Cork City. Padraig, Grag, November 1847. This is breaking my heart. Seeing those I know, some I taught in school, and there they are pulling down our home, dismantling a lifetime of memories. Stone by stone, sod by sod, beam by beam. That building is part of me. I remember choosing every stone in the wall, carefully selecting the right one for form and stability. The thought of that and of Bridget all those years ago, full of hope and joy we were as we thought about our future together. I took great care over it, I remember. It was our own little Bothon, and we built it together with pride. Every part of it brought out Bridget's creativity and personality. She knew exactly where I should carve the neat cubby holes into the walls to store the pots and pans. She helped me design the falling table, the hanging dresser, and the clevy above the hearth. It may have been a small, humble, one-roomed place, but it was ours. Now, piece by piece, it's been taken apart as I watch hopelessly from the roadside. It was in the early morning they came, Kincaid swaggering at the front of them. He had managed to bring the constabulary with him, a show of force more to magnify himself than anything else. He took great pride in bellowing out the eviction notice he had gained from the magistrate. It was his moment of triumph. At long last, I could see him think he was bringing me low. But I have no time to regard him or to be bitter. I was never going to resist, of course. That would have been pointless. And I knew it was coming for a long time. I was not long waiting. Late last month, in fact, when he appeared at our door again after racking the rent, shouting, "What the devil do I care about you and your black potatoes? It is not me that made them black. You will get 2 days to pay the rent, and if you don't, you know the consequences." At this moment, I need time to absorb this, to say goodbye. I look at my friends, neighbors, companions, and I see that a great fear has gripped them all, and they have been broken. There's no music among us, no dancing, no celebration. All is quiet. And I feel it is up to me to stand here now for them, to look at this physical dismantling, to watch those that are busy tearing down, raising, to reflect on our passing, and to think deeply, to mourn. Things will never be the same again around here. The life we have shared together is gone now. The fairs, the markets, the races, the companionship, the shared struggles, joys, births, our wakes, the way we consoled one another in death, the strength we drew from our communal life. I see our bonds torn and atrophied in every stone removed from its perfect location and cast to the ground. This life, this precious life we have lived, and God knows did we take it all for granted, will be no more. It's gone. I think I've waited here too long. Night has suddenly fallen around the both of us, and it has become bitter. We have to move. Thank you, Mastor. I needed to do this. We rise together and move up through the village. Mary asks me to knock on doors. I know it will be futile. Our neighbors, our people, have long since closed their homes on one another, fearful as they are of the famine fevers. Each knock is hollow and empty. My voice comes back to me unconsoled. We move together up the Boreen out of the village and strike out for the road to Cork. Late in the evening, we huddle together like we have not done since she was a small infant. Desperate for warmth under our shared blanket, we spend the night in troubled sleep. Thank you.
Thank you, Padraig. Okay, sorry. I can't, unmute everyone that fast. Thank you. It was really powerful stuff. I look forward to hearing more from your book.
Thank you.
And return to us.
Thank you.
It was lovely hearing you all the way. I can't stop talking about Vienna. I think it's exotic. No, it's definitely not. Oh, hi. Oh, yeah, you want to... Anne, you can speak. You want to say something?
Yes, it was very moving, very atmospheric, and very descriptive. And there was one piece that really struck me, and I'd like to have it explained. He said the people who came to knock down his house, that he had taught some of them. So I was wondering how that was. Were the RIC there then?
No, actually, the story is just that section is just a small part of the story. He's a school teacher. He was influenced by Daniel O'Connell.
Right.
And when his wife died at childbirth and the villagers rallied around him, and then as a response to that and influenced by Daniel O'Connell, he decided to start a small kind of head school in the village to educate the girls and boys. And so he had done that for 15 years, but had to stop because people couldn't afford the penny a week that they would give him for the teaching when the famine came, when the blight came. So he was their school teacher. Some of them he had taught in school, and now they were employed to tumble, as they call it, tumble his house.
That's what I mean. They came and they were one of his own, actually, who were doing this to him.
I think some of the things that cause us greatest problem with regard to remembering the famine is that those of us who survived with guilt.
Yeah.
How did we, why did we, how did we survive? This is the big question, you know?
Yes.
Obviously,
collaborating with the...
Not collaborating, more survival. I wouldn't say there was ulterior motives. It's just a question that if you're in that situation, what do you do to survive? And you close up, possibly. And do you all sorts of things happened, which we can only speculate about, really.
Mm. And it has with today as well, where a neighbor avoided neighbor in case they got the fever, whereas today we're avoiding neighbors again in case we pick up the virus from them.
Yeah, calamities like this does strange things to our sense of community, and that's one of the things that we have to worry about. Yeah.
Very interesting. Look forward to hearing more.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I was. I would like to ask Margaret O'Regan. I'm not sure if you're unmuted at the moment, but yes, you are unmuted.
Yeah.
And would you like to take the metaphorical floor?
Thank you. Thanks, Marie. This is just one haiku, and if you can imagine the look of COVID-19, the actual thing itself, the projections are lethally roaming about, the sting in the tail. That's it.
Okay, that's it. Okay. Thank you very much. The sting, yeah. Will we get it? Another sting, yes. How are you finding your isolation at the moment, Margaret?
I've slightly changed it. I'm going to the shop at 7 o'clock 2 mornings a week. I was cocooning up to last week, and I just thought I'm not going to cocoon anymore, even though I'm going to be 70 in July. So I just decided to do my own shopping because it's very hard to impart to people what kind of food you want, even my own daughter. And, you know, you think you've reared them and you've imbued them with like notions of quality food and everything. They buy old-time Irish marmalade or something.
But you're always something.
Compost, you wouldn't use it.
There's always something better underneath, and they didn't look.
Yes. You just have to do your own shopping, I find, and I like that. I'm out more for that reason. I'm never into exercise. I don't care about exercise. I prefer to be writing or talking, but I go out to the front garden with my cup of tea and I'm yap to everyone that wants to stop. So I like that. So I'm fine otherwise.
We're very adaptable, actually, as humans. Is there any, Nick, did you find something you would like to read to us? Thank you, Margaret. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm muted. You have to unmute me. Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
My lips are no longer sealed. I have a piece here, which, if I can get the phone to turn it properly, there we go. In view of the fact it's wellness, can you hear me all right? Yeah.
I can.
In view of the fact that it's Wellness Week, I thought it was quite appropriate just to share this one. Originally, it was called In Praise of Ozzy and the Scottish Guy, which I would imagine makes a lot of sense to all of you. So I'm actually calling it an outing. I'm trying to go to still. For several decades, I've witnessed the growing phenomena of coming out. These very personal statements have been for all sorts of reasons, from sexual orientation to the onset of an illness. The famous, when making statements regarding their particular newfound orientation, include references of gratitude for the tremendous support from their fan base. Being in the eye of an adoring public often necessitates the need to have no skeletons lurking amidst the hangers, in the woodpile, nothing niggardly, no stones yet unrolled. There is also the emotional return in the expressions of supportive sympathy and understanding. There is a shift in identity by such statements. Somebody, heretofore seen as dynamic, humorous, the epitome of their gender, has now probably entered the world of the vulnerable, be it of a physical, emotional, or cerebral disposition. Blokes are definitely not as good as the feminine for admitting weakness, all the more when one of our heroes displays their mortality. And perhaps that is wherein lies the rub. We must be strong, chaps, until... So why am I coming out? What am I coming out with? Being a fairly normal, ordinary type of individual, I never in the past found such a necessity. I have not lived in such extreme times to need to acclaim myself as heterosexual, male, or wasp. My religious disposition, funnily enough, has occasionally demanded such a response due to my accent, which over here many have understood to be of Protestant origin. The reverse is true. In England, I was one of the minority baptized into the Catholic Church of Rome. I had no say in the matter, understandably, which in the past I might have resented. And anyway, my membership is now lapsed, so that's all academic. The fact that my father was the son of a Methodist minister, yet turned coat, is a story worthy of its own telling. So why my need to come out? I could have made an outing 3 years ago, when I noticed a reluctance in certain limbs to do as they were being told. I muscled on, aware of a crushing fatigue, which was not sated by sleep, sex, or soothing alcohol. I thought I was working out my own salvation, which, according to St. Paul to the Philippians, was to be done with fear and trembling. For trembling I am, yet ignorant of which salvic process I had undertaken. 2 years on, and after several visits to the GP, I was last October referred to a Dr. Olivier Debril in Bantry Hospital, who confirmed that I was suffering from Parkinson's disease, a neurodegenerative disorder that affects dopamine-producing neurons and which negatively impacts on muscle capability. Thankfully, this was a swift diagnosis which, with medicinal counter-intervention and a daily regime of physiotherapy, means that the effects of the illness can be contained up to a point. Since November, I've had weekly sessions in the Mardyke Clinic with similarly affected individuals for intense physiotherapy, a group with which I was initially reluctant to associate, preferring instead the last shreds of denial. I was heartened by their opening statement. You don't die from Parkinson's, you live with it. So there you have it. This is how it is. I'm not looking for sympathy. On the pluses and minuses, it could be a lot worse. I do not wish for comfort, for a bed of feathers is probably the last thing I need. I would hope for understanding. This is how it is. No judgment required. I give thanks to the heroes I enjoyed and looked up to in the past for making their own statements. Ozzy Osbourne, Billy Connolly, Michael J. Fox, Alan Alda, Neil Diamond, Linda Ronstadt, and countless others, all now becoming a different type of hero. And in no means lesser, the ordinary heroes, the Teds, Tonys, Adrians, and Catherines that I meet each week to strut our stuff. Now, in the comfort of our own homes, we Zoom our physio session each week, from home and abroad, and in very interesting company. So, as they say, life goes on, never dull. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Well, yeah, I know that you have to.
Everyone is unmuted now.
Everyone's unmuted.
Clap. Hey.
No, you're fine. You're fine, Moze. That's
I
grand.
want to applaud Nick because obviously, you know, I sort of heard about this, but I haven't really found a difference in you. You are who you were.
Thank God for the time being.
but you know, your spirit really shines through at every moment that we're in contact. So I'm sure that will continue. Is there anyone else who has something to say?
No, I just say that I'm sorry I missed the beginning of that. Nick, my battery went dead, so I've been clamoring around to sort of try and get it going again. So
All right, not to worry, Anne.
Most of it though, and I don't see any change in you either.
Thanks, Anne.
This will be recorded and put up on our YouTube channel, so then you can catch up with Nick.
Okay.
I mean, it's technology, so can't guarantee anything, but that's the plan. Can I ask, I mean, before we break up and leave the meeting, I was wondering, is there anyone who wants to say something about things I feel that can be improved in this Zoom setting as opposed to the live setting? Like what? I mean, it's difficult to imagine, perhaps, but.
Yeah, I would like to say that people should be have a go. It's all right. It's not as painful as it sounds.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. Next time around, I'd like to see the richness from everybody.
Yeah. More open mic. Open up at the open mic.
Open up at the open mic. That's our motto.
That's it.
Maria, you want to say
Yeah,
something?
I just want to say what a gift as well. You know, I've been having a nice old fight with technology, as you can see. But what a great connector. I mean, what I've been noticing on story forums is that there's so much talent that you would not be able to get together in real life. You know, and here we are, and I'm thinking of the numbers that were there last year. About twice as many people at Wellness Week this year online, you know. So there's for and against, but that's a huge plus for the technology that people can kind of come in, you know, kind of where before they mightn't have been able to, for whatever physical reason, session, they were able to come in here, you know, so that was great. And thank you again for having.
No, well done, Maria.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Maria, and thank you everyone for turning up, being here, and speaking or listening.
Thank you, Moze.
Equally important.
Thank you.
Pamela has her hand up as well.
Oh, sorry, Pamela.
Nice.
Yes, because I feel that there's so much richness of this environment that I am not really well educated in. Okay, everybody has their talent. Mine is in a different way, but yet by the same token, one thing that I felt that I was lacking, Maria, as a constructive statement, and perhaps something that could go on. Of course, you can tell that my accent is much different than the most of yours. However, looking at the diversity of the people that are here, I would say that not everybody is Irish. And I find I am a word person. I love words and it's important to me. And so I found that when you were describing the terms in the Gaelic, I wanted you to just kind of expand on that so that I could grasp it. Now, what you said is universal, just like song, in that we can get it, but I feel that there could be a real, a more intricate connection in understanding the phrase. It's new to me. It's hard for me to get my ear around Gaelic, but I would love to be exposed to it, just in the wise sage, the wise crone, the you know, the forborn woman, whatever you have to say, and that is a constructive, that is not an attack.
Thank you so much, Pamela. You know, all
might be very selfish. I don't mean
I love it. And I suppose what I should have said is that every time I say something in Irish, I say it directly afterwards in English. So Shanwa Leah was the grey-haired grandmother, but it would have been helpful for you to know that. So yes, take it on board. I will remember that, you know, going forward.
But I feel that Moze, even for, you know, if I were speaking Greek, I would do the same thing. Do you see what I mean?
I do,
so
of course.
It's not just Gaelic. I think that in absorbing the environment that I love here in Ireland, that's part of it. And you know, should I learn Gaelic? I'll never learn Gaelic. You know, I think that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
It's the reality. But I think it enhances the experience.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've really heard that. So thank you, Pamela. And it's useful, you know, so yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very, very wonderful.
Can I just say something?
Of course.
I don't know if I'm on right or not. It is the first time I did Zoom. I can see all of you and hear you very clearly.
We can hear you.
Oh, good.
I hear you but not see you.
I came in late in the session. Some cooking, but I loved it. I loved the storytelling. It was just so, you could imagine you were there. It took me in very much. I loved the scene behind the guy who's writing the famine and the old house. And I thought Nick's revelation, just the way he started off coming out, because I know Nick through the writing group.
Yeah.
This idea of even having to come out about anything, but it was lovely, the little twist he put on it. And it was lovely and honest just to hear his life story at the moment. It was lovely. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
Yes. I have one query. Maria, do you do any classes in storytelling?
Yes, at the moment everything is stopped, but I do, you know, kind of, it would be similar to what we did today. We would build stories and there would be a bit of sacred element in it. So it's like, you know, kind of the big rule is whoever comes up with the story, your story is your story to share. You can't share anybody else's. And generally speaking, it would be based on the 6-part method, you know, so, yeah.
Okay, interesting. I'd be interested actually, because apart from the stories you tell, you also have the delivery, which makes it very clear.
Yeah.
You know, when you're speaking, and I think that works. I mean, it might be a microphone issue. You have a microphone? You have a good microphone?
I tried the microphone and it made me too quiet, although it cut out all ambient noise. So it was good in one way and not in the other. So now I work without the microphone, you know.
Well, my compliments, because you really come across very, very clearly. And I think that's important, even more so in this electronic space than it is live. So you can take a leaf out of your book.
Thanks, Moze.
Okay. Normally, I mean, maybe the DeBarras will also put this up, because they've been, you know, the DeBarra's Folk Music Club have been running really almost every night, I think, sitting room to sitting room sessions. And that is one thing we're hoping to do the next time, which is the 4th of June. I don't think he's still here, but the idea is to combine Stan Notte, I can never pronounce his name right. Stan Notte.
Yeah.
Jack, who was going to originally read then. So I'm not sure how it is going to work, because I think we are going to do it through the DeBarra's Folk Club. And we have to talk it over. This interactive that you can talk with a whole crowd of people, I think will not happen then, but obviously we will send everyone the invitation to listen to either or one of those gentlemen. And I think the interaction will take place through comments and chats, because it will be just one person speaking or using music at a time. Okay, can I thank you all?
Thank you, Moze.
Thank you, Moze.
Thank you, Moze.
Let's go.
A great experiment.
Thank you. Thank you for ending at 5:30. Bye-bye.
Others. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.